Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack some incredibly fascinating and, frankly, absolutely terrifying prehistoric history. I want you to just stop and imagine a scenario for a second. Imagine you were dropped, right now, tonight, directly into the middle of the last ice age. You've got zero modern conveniences. None. It's just you and this biting, unending, vicious cold. We're talking about a high-stakes, terrifying environment where the elements themselves are actively trying to erase you from existence. Okay, let's dive right into this, because the answer for the vast majority of us is a resounding yes. If you were actually stranded in an Ice Age winter, the grim reality is you would probably consume another human within a month. And look, it's not because you're inherently evil or anything like that, it's because the freezing temperatures would completely break your body first. Your extremities, they'd just cease to function. Your skin would literally fissure and crack. Your basal metabolic rate would absolutely skyrocket, burning through massive energy reserves just trying to keep your core organs pumping. And eventually, as extreme starvation sets in, your brain would simply discard modern morality in favor of pure biology. You see, around 20,000 years ago, the Earth looked completely alien compared to what we know today. Massive glaciers covered entire continents, forests were just buried beneath endless snow, and temperatures routinely plummeted to -40 degrees. For most of ancient history, winter wasn't just, an uncomfortable season where you stay indoors and drink cocoa. Winter was a literal death machine. It was a frozen nightmare filled with starvation and total darkness. If you made a single tiny mistake in -40 degrees, you didn't just get frostbite, you died.
Section 1. The Frozen Nightmare. Adapting to unimaginable horror.
Section 2. The Calorie Obsession. Eating fat for pure survival. Despite this incredibly hostile environment, ancient humans didn't survive by mastering nature. That's a myth. They survived by adapting faster than literally any other species alive. And the very first thing that relentless cold destroyed was their food supply. When scientists actually started investigating Ice Age caves, they discovered something pretty terrifying: entire mountains of broken bones. They soon realized these early humans weren't just eating meat. They were desperately extracting nutrient-dense marrow. Because the cold forced the body to burn massive energy every single second just to stay alive, early humans became utterly obsessed with pure fat. So we really have to look at the taboo of cannibalism through a completely different lens here. What we view today as evil was, back then, simple caloric math. Archaeologists have found human skulls cracked wide open exactly like animal bones, complete with stone tool marks scraped across the flesh. This wasn't some dark mythology. Imagine 6 months of freezing darkness, with no animals left to hunt. When someone naturally died, consuming them wasn't murder. It was the grim, mathematical reality that prevented your entire world line from going extinct.
But cannibalism wasn't even the darkest or strangest thing they did to survive. Now, what's really interesting about this is that some scientists have uncovered evidence that ancient humans essentially used massive dead animals as emergency sleeping bags. The process was visceral and it was desperate. Step 1, kill a massive animal, like a mammoth. Step 2, completely hollow out its massive carcass. And Step 3, literally crawl inside. During severe storms and blinding blizzards, a fresh, giant animal carcass could hold vital body heat for hours. The prehistoric planet did not care one bit about human dignity. It only cared about who survived the night.
But we really shouldn't mistake these brutal survival tactics for a lack of intelligence. They actually developed surprisingly advanced prehistoric technology. They crafted these incredibly delicate bone needles specifically for sewing tight, layered fur garments that trapped body heat perfectly. They engineered insulated boots from animal hide just to protect their extremities from frostbite. They even took animal grease and rubbed it directly onto their own skin, creating a barrier that slowed heat loss. These people were not primitive cavemen bumbling around in the dark. They were highly specialized experts, engineered to survive in conditions that would cause modern humans to just collapse and die within a matter of days.
Section 3. The War for Fire. Escaping prehistoric predators.
So, the cold wasn't the only thing trying to kill them. We have to shift our perspective for a second, away from the freezing temperatures, to the absolute monsters roaming the prehistoric landscape. We are talking about giant cave lions, significantly larger than modern lions, massive hyenas capable of crushing solid bone with a single bite, and dire wolves hunting in terrifying packs across the frozen plains. In this world, humans were absolutely not the apex predators. Humans were prey. Let that sink in. And because humans were on the menu, fire became even more important than food itself. It was the ultimate resource. It was literally the only thing that kept these massive predators at bay in the dark. Anthropologists have found that survival strategies dictated carrying burning embers everywhere they traveled. Because if your fire died in the middle of winter, your family died too. Can you imagine the sheer anxiety of that existence? One strong gust of wind could extinguish your embers and erase your entire bloodline from history forever. Because fire was the literal difference between life and death, humans became desperate to secure it. Actually, many scientists now believe that the very first instances of early human warfare began during the coldest periods of the Ice Age. And they weren't fighting over land or political power or wealth, they were fighting over fire. There is chilling evidence scattered across European caves. Crushed skulls, spear points embedded deep into bone, entire families violently massacred inside their own caves. When resources vanished, humanity's desperation led to brutal, violent conflict just to stay warm.
Section 4. The survival of connection. Sharing to survive.
This era of extreme violence and competition actually helps explain one of the greatest mysteries in history, the disappearance of the Neanderthals. For hundreds of thousands of years, Neanderthals survived the brutal frozen climate through remarkable compassion. Researchers have actually found Neanderthal skeletons with broken legs that had completely healed. Think about what that means. In a starving, freezing world, someone carried them, fed them, and protected them for years. So the crucial point is that while that compassion was incredible, Homo sapiens had one specific advantage that tipped the scales: connection. Scientists studying early trade networks have found ancient tools that were transported hundreds of miles across those frozen, deadly landscapes. This proves that our ancestors weren't just surviving alone, they were actively communicating, sharing vital resources, and trading life-saving information. During the Ice Age, isolated tribes died out while connected tribes adapted and lived. Section 5. Modern Ice Age Instincts. Psychological Survival. You know, physical survival was really only half the battle. The psychological toll must have been beyond our comprehension. Just imagine living through 6 straight months of freezing darkness, huddled beside a dying fire. No electricity, no music, and absolutely no certainty that your family would even see the spring. This immense psychological pressure forced humans to invent one of our greatest coping mechanisms: stories. Anthropologists point out that storytelling was not born out of a desire for entertainment. It wasn't just to pass the time. It was essential for ancient resilience. These survival stories served a critical purpose. They warned children about the dangers of thin ice on frozen lakes. They mapped out complex animal migration patterns. They taught predator behavior. Stories allowed critical, life-saving knowledge to outlive human memory, effectively transforming human evolution by passing down a survival manual from generation to generation.
And this brilliantly illustrates a twist that you might not expect. Your modern brain still carries those exact Ice Age instincts right now. Researchers have discovered that our modern bodies react emotionally to environments that mimic ancient survival conditions. That innate fear of the dark you might have, that's a survival mechanism to increase your alertness against predators. Your natural attraction to a warm firelight, that physically calms your nervous system because for ancient humans, fire meant safety. And that deep, sinking anxiety you feel during extreme isolation, that's your body raising stress hormones because in the Stone Age, being isolated from your tribe meant certain death. Your body literally remembers the Ice Age, even if your conscious mind doesn't.
So, I want to leave you with this question to really think about. Are you truly as modern as you think? Because the real story of ancient history isn't about grand empires or kings. It's the story of starving humans staring into the firelight while a snowstorm swallowed the world outside. The fear, the caution, the incredible cooperation, it was all forged right there in the frozen dark. So the next time you feel a shiver of fear in an empty, dark room, just remember, that's not just fear. That is the echo of your ancestors, reminding you of exactly what it took to survive. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.